Political analyst and former Republican senator for Pennsylvania, Rick Santorum, former New York State senator and Democratic strategist David Carlucci, and former U.S. Senate candidate in New Jersey and Republican strategist Alex Zdan. Thank you so much for being with us here. Senator Santorum, I'm going to start with you. CNN already putting a headline out. Mark Zuckerberg's MAGA makeover will reshape the entire internet. Seemingly, they're not on board with the First Amendment.
It's amazing. MAGA makeover is we're going to allow free speech. If that's a distinguishing characteristic of MAGA, that just tells you how off the rails and how undemocratic and how much they against the First Amendment the mainstream media is. That the idea that we're not going to censor information, political information, to allow free speech and political discourse in this country, which is guaranteed under the First Amendment, is a terrific thing. I congratulate Zuckerberg for doing this. I wish he'd have done it 4 years ago, but it's absolutely a right move in the right direction. And I'm hopeful that some other platforms will follow suit.
Alex, I want to build off what Tracy was talking about, the third-party fact checker. That's what stood out to me when this all came out. Meta's chief global affairs officer, Joel Kaplan, they've been doing the media rounds, okay? And they admitted they were using this third-party, unbiased fact-checking system here. Now, it makes you wonder who the heck these people were. Were they really unbiased here? We saw the product. Basically, Mark Zuckerberg has admitted it was wrong. It wasn't unbiased here. My, how the tides have turned.
You're absolutely right. And I'm fascinated by Tracy's reporting that it wasn't necessarily people sitting at computers. It was algorithms
built
that
by
were throwing out some of these posts in direct violation of these users' free speech. But this is how the tide has turned. In 2016, the elites were so offended by Donald Trump's election that they immediately deployed all of these measures to try and stifle people's speech in the name of fighting hate, in the name of fighting disinformation. That all peaked during COVID, and we saw the true destruction during that people's posts were suppressed, information was suppressed. But now the decisive win of President Trump in this election means things are changing. Mark Zuckerberg obviously seeing that, putting Dana White on his board, changing this fact-checking policy. It really is the ramifications and the reverberations of President Trump's decisive win.
Okay, so I want to go right now. We do have, I think, a live picture of a plane. And just remind me what we're looking at here. Oh, there we go.
Jimmy Carter.
Yes, Jimmy Carter making his final arrival there on this very solemn day, arriving at Joint Base Andrews. And, of course, his life and his legacy, a lot of community service, a lot of humanitarian work he did following his one term as president. Again, all of that being honored today, and we will continue to keep you posted as the events continue. Now, back to our conversation. David, I want to get your thoughts on Mark Zuckerberg's decision. He's saying they will now be community notes added instead of this sort of third-party fact checker. Are you on board with this?
Well, it's hard to say because we're going to have to see how this all plays out. Look, I feel like Meta, it's not really their fault, but they're building the plane while it's in the air. And we're looking to them to solve all these problems. And I don't think that's the right approach. Look, we should be cynical of the way that they've been treating their censorship. They're just plain out blocking information. And there should be a difference between trying to guide a conversation and just blocking information, whether it's scientific or political. And that's a big concern. So it's yet to be seen what these new policies will actually mean for the public. What does it mean particularly for young people, more impressionable? And we still have big issues. And Meta is not the only player here, but they do have an awesome amount of power. And that's where I'm hopeful that the Trump administration doesn't just look at censorship, which is a huge issue, but also in terms of the addictive nature that many of these social media companies exploit and take advantage of, particularly for young people. That's a major concern. It'll be very interesting to see how the Trump administration deals with this growing issue that's becoming more and more of a problem, particularly for young people, but for all Americans. But yeah, that's why the proof will be in the pudding. It's hard to say. I read the press release, saw Mark Zuckerberg's his statement, but how this actually functions will be very interesting to see. And I hope it's a step in the right direction.
Well, we shall see. A lot more free speech, though, it appears. Senator, I want to switch to this. Trump was talking about the Panama Canal, possibly Greenland as well, in that press conference we just got a little while ago at Mar-a-Lago. Let's bring up a soundbite here.
I can't assure you, you're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this, we need them for economic security. The Panama Canal was built for our military. I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that you'll have to do something.
Okay, so there you go. Maybe he brings in the military to acquire those portions of land there. Senator, your thoughts?
I will tell you, I am actually very pleased that we finally have an American president. I can go back really since Ronald Reagan. It's the first president since Ronald Reagan who's actually paying attention to our hemisphere. It really is amazing how much administrations, frankly, even the last Trump administration, really paid no attention to the what used to be called the Monroe Doctrine, which was, protecting your own hemisphere and having a sphere of influence. Greenland's an important area. Panama Canal is an important area. The fact that Donald Trump is focusing attention on those things, to me, is all part of making America great again, and I applaud him for it.
Okay, Alex, your thoughts?
Well, I think we've got to prioritize. Panama Canal, essential. Greenland, important. Canada, nice to have. The problem with Canada, it's filled with Canadians. But
yeah.
The Panama Canal is absolutely essential to American national security. It was designed by Americans. It was put together by Theodore Roosevelt. He really put that into place when he was president of the United States. It's part of his legacy. It's an American canal that's in Panama, and I'm confident that President Trump is going to bring that back into American hands. Look, we're celebrating President Carter's life and legacy this week, but one of his gravest mistakes was that treaty that sent sovereignty of the canal back to the Panamanians, and I think that President Trump needs to reverse that decision with the help of Congress.
All right, got to leave it there. Senator David, Alex, thanks for stopping in. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good to be with you.
All right, and coming up, the CDC is monitoring a spike in cases of the HMPV in China and the U.S. as a major country reintroduces strict COVID rules. Former White House COVID response coordinator Dr. Deborah Birx joins us to discuss.
But first, a lot of legal action on the Trump front. Judge Cannon issues a